So welcome to Willow Clinical Podcast. We are back to talk a little bit more about just things in light of the Epstein Transparency Act. So we're going to ask each other a couple questions from a sex addiction perspective.
So, in recent news, we are seeing a lot of men in power being exposed for using sex as a tool for exploitation, control, and power. Why are we seeing this so often from a sex addiction informed perspective?
So when I was thinking about this, I was thinking in like two different perspectives. One is how often men are taught that there's only like very few emotions that are accessible to them. So a lot of times, like when I meet with clients, like a lot of the work that we end up doing is like learning how to have access to like a full spectrum of emotions. So when I hear about these things in the news, I often think about, I'm like, yeah, men are often told like you can be happy, you can be angry, or you can take your feelings and like channel them into something sexual. So I think a lot of men are channeling like their unprocessed and un often unrecognized and probably unconscious like emotional issues into like a sexual channel. But not only that, the other perspective I see is, especially in the sex addiction world, a lot of people, sex sort of becomes what feels like a pseudo corrective experience. Like, oh, well, if girls didn't like me when I was a kid, if I was bullied as a kid, then I can pay someone for sex and I can have them do whatever I want because I'm paying for them to do so. And if you're not paying somebody for that, then I see people take advantage of people that are seen as vulnerable. So whether that's younger women, minors, or people who are poor or really don't have anywhere else to go, don't have a lot of support, those people are exploited and used essentially as objects and tools, again, as like a pseudo corrective experience to enhance like their sense of self or ego, even though it's not actually enhancing their sense of self and it's not actually boosting their ego. It's all, again, a pseudo corrective experience.
And that's really interesting that you go back to those pieces about the corrective experience that they're looking to find in any attachment injuries that they may have experienced in their own lives that are leading them down this road, thinking it'll bring them a sense of being seen or a feeling of intimacy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think like especially with like these men in power who we see like Epstein, Trump, Leon Black, like all those people that were named in the files, it's like, yeah, these are guys who objectively had already had a lot of money and power. And I do think there's a quote that says like absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think it also kind of gets to people's heads in these like high of seats or however you want to call that. I think that they get to a point where they feel like they are God and the consequences don't apply to them and they can do whatever they want. And everything around them becomes objectified, including human beings. So yeah, Elle works with the partners. So I want to ask Elle, are there any ways that betrayed partners can support themselves as they navigate the roller coaster of the news headlines related to sexual discoveries?
You know, two words that have been coming back at me over these last few weeks are having a sense of curiosity and compassion. So noticing that when there's all this news intake and information coming back, which can lead one to feel a sense of obligation to witness and to see, and to make sure that those who suffer didn't suffer for nothing, that there's some form of a resolution or a sense of connection, making them not alone. And also the way that that has the potential to trigger a betrayed partner back, seeing themes of sexual acting out in other places throughout the world. You know, Many of our betrayed partners end up having forms of PTSD And a lot of that PTSD leads them to question the world and themselves, so the seeing those parallels, that curiosity of this feels huge and it is really large. And how is it impacting me? Am I having a hard time getting through the day? Can I take a break from my news content, my news intake? And that curiosity about, is this reflecting back to any attachment injuries that I've had or in family of origin in my, current relationship where I've experienced the betrayal, and that compassion that I can hold my own space. Those who have been hurt can also heal or hold their own experiences.
Absolutely. I like that you said that, like that they can hold their own experiences. And I think like I think it's okay to not shy away from, if you do see a headline, you can let me know what you think of this, but like if you do see a headline, it's okay to not be like, oh no, 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 but be like, hey, hold on, I can recognize that like this is an experience that somebody has had in like the sexual world of addiction and problematic behaviors, and even be willing to see like how is my partner's acting out different and how is it the same, and maybe even have a conversation with the partner that betrayed you and say, hey, like this came up today, can we talk about it? um,
Yeah,
Maybe that would be helpful too.
for sure. For sure. And like that kindness. And there was a line I just had pop into my mind years ago. I wish I could remember who said this back when I was in graduate school, but that not everything can be healed, but it could be held. And that
Mm,
idea too, that trust kind of in, I can do this for myself. I can seek support. I can have that conversation with my partner, let them know where I am. Maybe we can experience a sense of connection or a sense of healing from this, but not necessarily can it all be healed, but it could be held. I can hold it. I'm going to hope and give my best thoughts to those who also have been through trying times. But I guess kind of that way of, this is my reality, this is their reality. There are parallels. I can honor them and myself. And also, I need a function to get through the day. So
yeah.
if those triggers keep coming up, taking some space to notice what is real for me right now, how can I kind of rebudget my brain space to make sure I'm okay?
Hmm. I like that phrasing of rebudget my brain space. What is like one tip that you have for clients like to do that? I guess especially when it comes to news. Like I usually tell my clients in like 2 hours before bed, like get off of your
I
phone
like that.
and read a book or talk to someone.
I like that. I like that. I sometimes wonder if like sandwiching like news intake in between other obligations, so
Yeah.
if it's kind of like, okay, I have 20 minutes right now, setting off the parental controls on your phone, or just having a buddy, that like this is how we're gonna approach this. Um, and also just kind of that these are my priorities for the day
Hmm.
and like being just intentional about it. That this
Absolutely.
is how I'm showing up for my world's piece of me, my more connected parts. And this is how I'm showing up for the me here today, that I need to be there for me.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I loved that perspective.
Thanks.